Hello guys, and today we continue our favorite Russian geography lesson because unstoppable Ukrainian drones reached Bashkortostan, that is deep inside the Russian Federation, more than 1500 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, and targeted another Russian oil refinery, thus creating more problems for the already collapsing Russian economy and demonstrating the vulnerability of the Russian air defense and the fact that it can and will be defeated. Yesterday, apart from serious destructions in the largest Russian oil port, we also learned about the destruction of two big oil tankers that they were using for the shadow fleet. So a lot of really bad news for the Russian oil industry and thus the Russian budget. And let's talk about all of that from one of my favorite places on earth. Please forgive if the sound is not always perfect, but you watch the beautiful Ukrainian nature, and there are a lot of things I hope you will be able to discover later after the Russian Federation is defeated and it's free and safe to travel to Ukraine. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat of the Russian army and Putin in The Hague, subscribe. We will discuss all of that on the channel. So let's begin with this new record broken by Ukrainian drones that managed to travel 1,500 kilometers deep inside Russia, actually reaching a republic of Bashkortostan that has perfect chances to become independent after the collapse of the Kremlin regime. Right now, Bashkortostan is one of the centers of Russian oil producing industry, 105, and BASHNEFT is pretty famous inside Russia and among those countries that still buy bloody Russian oil. And if there is something that I agree with Donald Trump on, that is definitely not buying Russian oil. Please stop doing that and we can defeat the evil much faster than. So in Bashkortostan they have 4 or something oil refineries, but now -1 that was working for BASHNEFT and produced a lot of products actually satisfying the needs of the region around it. So we may say that with each day Russian gasoline crisis, Russian fuel crisis reaches more and more regions. In total, more than 20 inside the Russian Federation, once described as a gas station, a country gas station, suffer from severe shortages. There are huge lines, there are lots of problems, and more ordinary Russians that were cheering for this war realize not everything goes according to the plan and a lot of things that they actually dislike. So this Bashkortostan marks perhaps more than a 10th oil refinery neutralized inside Russia during these months, and I believe the strategy will continue. And another important problem created once again by inexpensive Ukrainian drones is in the Russian oil port, actually the largest oil port in Primorsk. Yesterday I've told you about the attack of Ukrainian drones on 3 pumping stations there that paralyze the work, that paralyze the traveling of Russian oil to Ust-Luga, another big port literally on the suburbs of St. Petersburg. But today we've also learned that -2 Russian tankers that were used to work inside this Russian shadow fleet. Subscribe to witness the collapse of the Russian Federation, their defeat, because it has already started. There are a lot of Russian failures that media keep underreporting, all because of that fake image from the times of the Cold War that the Soviet Union or Russia is invincible. They are collapsing. They are really easy to destroy. Something similar happened to the USSR in 1991, and trust me, you will witness a similar tremendously quick and for some uneducated people, unpredicted collapse, but for us, a very, very predicted collapse. So two of these oil tankers that were targeted last night are Cousteau and Kai-Yun. They were used by the Russian Shadow Fleet. That is one of very few left options to earn money for the collapsing Russian budget, but they lose these tankers really quickly. They hide them. These ones, for example, operated under the Seychelles Islands flags, but it's not that difficult to detect that they support Kremlin war machine. They were destroyed, they burned together with all the oil that was there. But what makes it interesting, the whole port, the largest oil port in Russia, is now closed. It's not operating, and only oil products that they passed through this port during one day brought Russia $41 million. So we may say it's a little bit windy. I hope you're enjoying the beautiful scenery behind me. It will obviously rain, but I'm okay with that. It's pretty warm for September. Anyway, $41 million for this operation and usage of oil products in that port are lost, but in total the amount of products and goods that went in or out through Primorsk port is $100 million per day. So we may say that as long as it is closed, as long as it is super explosive, they are losing $100 million per day. And Russia has a GDP smaller than the one of the state of Texas. Greeting to those who watch us from Texas, and remind this please to people in the White House, to people elsewhere that still spread Russian fakes about the strengths of this country. The largest country in the world has a very small budget, has serious problems with that already empty budget, all because they failed the Blitzkrieg and now they fail the Russian Federation in general. Many people still repeat a lot of mistakes, like Ukraine could have given up its territories, but no one in Ukraine considers this as an option. And in a new video on my new channel that I connect here, I explain why actually you should not want this. That is not the way to stop the war. That is not the way to save people. That is just the way to praise Putin and inspire more authoritarian regimes, create more problems for other good countries around the world. And I believe you don't want that too. And to defeat and demilitarize Russia faster, consider supporting our 6th NEFO campaign with beautiful units that right now keep expanding the geography of our Russian geography lessons. The sun is setting. I had an adventure with my notebook. It was in the water already. But you know, I feel that you are friends and family, and I always love sharing different places and locations with you. I hope the wind did not interfere the important information that I wanted to share with you. And in the comments below, let me know, have you ever visited Ukraine? What was your favorite place to visit? Or if you haven't, where would you like to be after the defeat and demilitarization of the Russian Federation that has already started? During just this weekend, we have destroyed the largest Russian oil terminal port in Primorsk. We destroyed 2 tankers of the Shadow Fleet and an oil refinery in Bashkorto, 1,500 kilometers away from Ukraine, demonstrating these constant failures of the Russian air defense of the Russian army and of the Kremlin regime. Subscribe to my other social media, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, all the links in the description of this video, same as the link to our merch shop with lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine, and we need your support, we need your strength, your determination to help us defeat the evil and try to restore back the international law and order. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!